Lamentations chapter 4 and verse 9. They that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger, for these pine away, stricken through for the want of the fruits of the field. Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rakakradash, and double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace, love, and salutations to the hopeful elect. This is your brother Dawadah from the Men of Valor campaign in Greenville, South Carolina, coming back with another video in sincerity and in truth, and Lord willing, it can be edifying. And I have this article right here from zeroheads.com. It's something interesting to look at, concerning end-time prophecy. And I brought out limitation because, as we just read, they that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger. Okay, famine and hunger and not being able to eat is it's a very convincing negotiation tactic that this devil's about to use. All right, now we know that the Lord has already prophesied that there will be famine. So whether it comes organically through him, all right, with this parasite, or whether this was something that Esau put out into the world, to kill the cattle, either way, the result will be the same. All right, the prophecy of the Lord will come to pass. All right, and even if Esau did do it, the Lord put the spirit on him to do it. Proverbs 21:1, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, and as rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. So it doesn't matter who you want to give the credit to. The credit belongs to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right, his words are being fulfilled. So this is zeroheads.com. Flesh-eating screwworm detected in Texas, threatening already strained U.S. cattle herd. Concerns over the New World, and that's interesting that it's called that. The New World Screwworm, or NWS, when you see NWS from now on, that's what it means, New World Screwworm, have been building for the last 12 months as the deadly cattle parasite spread through Mexico, and Trump administration attempted to prevent it spread into the U.S. Those concerns have now turned into red alerts after the USDA confirmed a single case in Texas, marking the first U.S. detection in years. All right, with everything else going on, now we're adding this to the mix. All right, and this affects cattle. All right, beef, your steaks, your burgers, your beef hot dogs. All right, and they're already trying to make a position, a move toward lab-grown meat. They're trying to feed you bugs and shit. So this fits right into that narrative, man. All right, because if the natural cattle is gone, or if it's contaminated, or if it's, not safe to eat, all right, well, we got this impossible meat right here. We got this lab-grown meat. It tastes just like steak, and you probably already been eating it, So this is the transition that they might be trying to make. They need a catalyst for it. A case of NWS may have been detected in South Texas. The sample was now at the USDA's National Veterinary Services Laboratories in Ames, Iowa for confirmatory testing. We will provide updates the moment results are available, USDA wrote. All right, so we just read that. See some more tweets right here, but I want to get into the article. USDA states that there is currently no evidence that the NWS has become established in the U.S., but the agency is moving quickly with quarantines, moving controls, surveillance within a 12-mile zone of the detection area, and the release of sterile flies to contain any spread. All right, so they're saying they're trying to contain it. You have other pestilences that are affecting humans, that we've been monitoring. And the Lord said that there would be pestilences, plural. All right, not just that affect humans, but it can also affect the food supply. All right, and again, like we just read, and I'll read it again real quick, Lamentations chapter 4 and verse 9, they that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger, for these pine away, stricken through for the want of the fruits of the field. So people are going to desire, to eat. There's only one cure for famine, and that's to be able to eat. All right, that's for food to be available. All right, and that doesn't mean there won't be any food, but it will be controlled. Your Walmarts will be ran by your government. All right, and if you want to get some food from your Walmarts, and you've already been socially conditioned to go to Walmart, go to Publix, go to Kroger, go to Food Lion, now The barrier to entry will be, well, you have to get this implantable device under your skin to be able to buy or sell. See, this is where this is all going. This is all end time biblical prophecy, man. The Lord had already ordained this from the beginning. It says the detection of the NWS in the U.S. would be a direct biological and economic shock to the cattle herd if the spread were rampant, given the nation's herd is already at a 75-year low, man. So we're already in dangerous territory, and this could send it over the edge. Beef prices are at record highs, and meat packers are under pressure from fewer and more expensive animals. The NWS were established in the U.S. If NWS were established in the U.S., this could delay herd rebuilding at the worst possible time. Check that out. Reuters notes that a spreading outbreak could further hit the herd and expose Texas livestock alone to roughly $1.8 billion in estimated economic losses. A spread of NWS would be bullish for live cattle futures and beef prices, bearish for meat packers such as Tyson Foods that need cattle heads, and supportive of animal health names tied to treatments and parasite control. All right, so not a long article. All right, but this is something to look out for. As the watchmen, we have to be on our watch, watching for the prophecies to come. So we're watching for these different catalyst moments that would trigger, said prophecy. So what would trigger famine? A major beef shortage. The farmland has been being bought up. It hasn't been getting the rain that is needed for years. We've been reporting on this for years now. Now, the world is not producing enough food to feed the people. And through the Spirit, that's by design. They're manufacturing a famine. They're going to squeeze you people out by hitting you where it hurts the most, and that's in your stomach, man. Because, hey, again, you Americans have been socially conditioned to want to eat 3 times a day. The marketing on TV, you see a damn Coke commercial, they pouring a Coke. Oh, shit, I want a Coca-Cola now. McDonald's commercials and shit. And people stress eat. People are already under financial stress. So what do? They go and eat, man. But what do you do when you can't access food? Right? When food isn't easily accessible, when you have to go through these government means just to be able to access that food, man. You're going to have, see, this is where a lot of that compliance is going to come, because you people have never dealt with intermittent fasting. Okay? The Lord has put it on our spirits to, and we can work on it better, of course, but the Lord has put it on our spirits to be able to go without eating, to maybe not have to eat 3 meals a day, to allow our food to digest, to allow our body to work how the Lord intended it. But they're about to play on the psychology of you people and the fact that you can't go without eating. Especially you Americans, man. You're about to feel what true hunger is like, man. But the Lord prophesied of all these things happening. So a pestilence that could affect the beef, that's major. They're saying they're monitoring it. But, you don't know that. You can't trust this damn devil, man. But let's get this. Matthew chapter 24, right to the point, verse 3, it says, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? So they asked him, they inquired. And Yahushua broke it down to him, verse 4, and Yahushua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am anointed, and shall deceive many. And we're seeing that now. You seeing many of these guys that have come in the name of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua, these camps outside of MOV and GMS, mainly of the Sakari. They even taught the MOTB. But did you see how the Lord has completely dismantled them as a camp? Why? Because it was not of the Most High. The Lord did say the deceived are and the deceiver are his, man. So you're going to have these guys coming in thinking, saying that they're anointed by the Lord. You got Bishop Nate out here, So the Lord already warned about this. Verse 6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. Do we not see that? You know, you don't know if the ceasefire is up or if it's not up. Is it holding in Iran? You know, are they about to go in? Is Iran about to go into Lebanon? Is Russia about to fully take Ukraine? Is China about to take Taiwan? These are wars and rumors of wars. On top of everything else that's happening. See that you be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So, you know, things still have to happen. We still have to, there's still a path to take as far as prophecy is concerned. All right, prophecy isn't going to jump over one another. You're not going to have the nuclear missiles. You're not going to have the nuclear missiles come before the MOTB is made mandatory on the earth. All right, but once the MOTB is made mandatory on the earth, the missiles can fly at any moment after that. All right? All these things will be fulfilled. Verse 7, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. See? Famines. Shortages of food. That's speaking about now. All right, just because you can eat now doesn't mean you will be able to eat very soon. It says, and pestilences. This new world screwworm, you know, a flesh-eating screwworm that affects cattle, that's a pestilence. It might not affect humans directly, but it affects them because it affects the food supply. And earthquakes in diverse places. You know, and we track the earthquakes all the time, man. There's so many earthquakes, man. You know, it might not seem like one of the major things, but the Lord used it as a sign. Verse 8, it says, all these are the beginning of sorrows. See? These are the beginning of sorrows. The Lord is about to jack you damn people up, man. He's about to starve you out. But we always got to bring the balance, because just as the Lord is about to starve you people out, the Lord is also going to take care of us, man. All right, the Lord is going to take care of his men. He's going to allow us to eat. You know, us and our families, Lord willing. This is Isaiah chapter 65. In verse 12, it says, therefore will I number you to the sword. See, all this is being prepared because, hey, this verse right here shapes it up. The Lord said, I will prepare you for the sword. I will number you to the sword, and you shall all bow down to the slaughter. You won't be able to come up against it. It's going to be overwhelming brute force against you. Because when I called, you did not answer. How did the Lord do that? Through his prophets. When I spake, you did not hear. How did the Lord do that? Through his servants, the prophets. But did evil before mine eyes, and did choose that wherein I delighted not. Therefore, thus said the Lord, as a result of that, says, therefore, thus said the Lord power, behold, my servants shall eat. All right, the Lord doesn't necessarily say how. Matthew the 6th chapter speaks about take no thought what you shall eat, what you shall drink, and wherewithal shall you be clothed. All right, that's what the heathen need to worry about. We have the power of the universe on our side, man. The power of creation. It's nothing for the Lord to feed us, man. But of course, this physical flesh that we're in, all right, when it's time for that test to actually come, when you go a day or two without eating, it's a test of your faith. The Lord wants to see, are you going to hold the line, or are you going to cave into your flesh, man? All right, and hey, all this time we've been in this truth. That's what the Lord has been, the lesson the Lord has been teaching us. You know, can you deny that flesh, man? And it's hard, man. Hey, a righteous man falls 7 times, a complete number of times. We're in this wicked flesh, but the Lord still wants to see will you retain your faith in him. Verse 13 again, therefore thus said the Lord power, behold, my servant shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servant shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servant shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed. See? You people about to be out here through as hell. You know, you women. And most of these, and there's an all-time high of women that can't fucking cook, man. I don't know the exact statistics, but I can cook, so I understand it. You know, these women can't cook for real, man. You know, you see how they was all mad at cooking with Kaya when she came on the scene, you know, and that showed you the men were all tuned in. Like, okay, yeah, she shake her ass a little bit and shit like that, but she's cooking. She's doing something. All right, most of these women have been able to get away with just not doing shit and think that they're just the queen of heaven, man. So it's going to affect you women hard. Don't know how to properly wash and clean meats, you know. Can't fillet a fish. Can't properly fry it or boil it, or however you need to do it. Prepare it. There's many ways to prepare different proteins. And most of you women can't do none of that shit. So how are you really gonna help us? And not to say there's women out there that can't cook. Most of them can't though, man. I'm out here in the field. I meet them. Most of them cannot cook. That's why they love a man that can cook. But hell, when the pendulum swings and you have to provide value, more than your box, how are you really going to help us? See, the Lord said he's going to make a man more precious than fine gold, even the golden wedge of Ophir, not the woman. We've been under this notion that the woman is the prize. No, the man is the prize, man. And the Lord is about to show that, because when everybody else is out here starving to death, his men are going to be jolly. We're going to be good, man. We're going to be of a cheerful heart. And that's what we've been waiting on. So again, all eyes on this flesh-eating screwworm detected in Texas that can affect the beef supply, man. And they say everything's bigger in Texas, so we'll see how this plays out. But Lord willing, is edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakadash, and again, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace, love, and salutations to the hopeful elect. Till next time, Shalom.